CAP ID 507819, National Capital Wing, for distinguished performance of duty during the period of 13 March 21 to 16 March 24, effective 16 March 24. Authority, CAP Regulation 39-3. Please be seated while I read the citation. Colonel David Sterling, CAP, distinguished himself through exemplary service in a position of great responsibility as Commander, National Capital Wing, from 13 March 2021 to 16 March 2024. During this tenure, his professional expertise, dedication, and leadership were instrumental in advancing the National Capital Wing's role as the Air Force Auxiliary in executing all mission elements of the Civil Air Patrol. The wing successfully flew 2 aircraft 16 times annually to provide non-combat training to the U.S. Air Force. Colonel Sterling led over 650 dedicated and capable volunteers across 7 subordinate squadrons, significantly fortifying the relationship between the National Capital Wing and the Military District of Washington, D.C., through consistent, informative briefings and operational orientation flights to high-ranking officials, thereby reinforcing the wing's essential role as an operational force multiplier. Moreover, Colonel Sterling advocated for an increase in the operational hours of Civil Air Patrol aircraft, thus expanding the wing's capability in emergency response and other critical operations essential to Homeland Security. His leadership was pivotal in enhancing the training and operational readiness of the members, positioning the National Capital Wing as a leader in aerospace education within the region. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, the wing maintained an impressive average of 266 flight hours per aircraft over the past 3 years, and was the top performer for 2023. The wing's dynamic cadet program flourished under his guidance, with 8 cadets achieving the prestigious General Ira C. Aker Award, 4 cadets earning the General Carl A. Spaatz Award, and conducting over 470 powered and glider flight orientation flights. Colonel Sterling ensured the successful organization and execution of the Wing Cadet Encampment in 2023, the first in more than 15 years, focusing on safety and practical training, resulting in the graduation of more than 108 cadets. An enthusiastic proponent of aerospace education, more than 35 wing members earned the Brigadier General Charles Yeager Award under his tenure, with over 13 in the last 2 years alone. The wing consistently supported over 23 aerospace education members and actively engaged in community outreach. Under Colonel Sterling's membership, the wing education and training program witnessed remarkable achievements in the growth and development of senior members, as evidenced by the completion of education and training levels 1 through 5, along with numerous specialty ratings acquired. On its initiative, Boeing awarded the wing a significant financial grant to enhance the wing's activities. The distinguished and dedicated service of Colonel Sterling in this role of significant national importance is a testament to his exceptional qualifications and service acumen, bringing great honor to himself, the National Capital Wing, the Mid-Atlantic region, and the Civil Air Patrol.
That's second. That's first. There you go. Colonel Sterling, it's an honor to present you with the Distinguished Service Award for your outstanding service to Civil Air Patrol and National Capital Wing. Thank you. So there's actually 2 awards, so sorry about that little confusion. This one, that Distinguished Service Award, this one signifies the tenure of the wing commander. And it says, presented to Colonel David E. Sterling, CAP, for distinguished service as Commander, National Capital Wing, March 2021 to March 2024, Signed, Edward D. Felka, Major General, CAP, National Commander.
Well, I received the award, but you earned the award. And I appreciate being in the same unit as all of you. But I'm going to take this moment to thank a couple of people who have helped me in my CAP career. The first is my classmate, Tim Carey. Tim is no longer with us, and he was a member of the Virginian Wing when he was in the Civil Air Patrol. I was a navigator in the Air Force, but Tim taught me to be a pilot. And so, at 65 years old, two old gray men were flying aimlessly through the SFRA and Northern Virginia. Tim tried to teach me how to fly, but I fought him all the way. But nonetheless, I did pass. And Tim is the one who introduced me to Civil Air Patrol. He mentioned one day that he was a member of the squadron that met at Manassas Airport, and would I be interested in joining? Well, I lived in McLean, and I wasn't about to get on 66 to go to meetings, so I said, thank you, but no thanks. Tim passed away 5 years ago, and he's constantly in my memory, and I thank him for what he did for me. The next person is Aaron Newman. My friend and colleague I have known since 1992. He was fresh out of MIT, and we worked together in a small company called the Joint Systems. As far as Civil Air Patrol goes, I mentioned about my friend Tim Carey, and he says, oh, I'm a member of the Arlington Squadron of the National Capital Building. That is only 5 miles from where you live. So I went to a meeting, seemed pretty good, and like most of you, 12 pilots, I came to fly. But a month later, I was the squadron commander. And there it went. The next person I want to thank is Bruce Heinlein. Bruce was the wing commander of the National Capital Wing. And after my tour as commander of Arlington, he said, you know, Cap is looking for somebody to represent them in the Pentagon. Well, I spent about 10 years in the Pentagon in various service jobs, and I said, oh, I can do that. And so I became the Cap rep in the Pentagon. And the person I met there was Tom Schubert. So, going back to Bruce really was an inspiration to me and kept pushing me to do this and do that for CAP. But I did take the job in the Pentagon. I interviewed with Tom and a couple other folks, because I knew what people were looking for in the Pentagon. I wore the Air Force, the CAP uniform, and I know they were sizing me up, and I was sizing them up, and we decided to make a go of it. Tom became a lifelong friend. And we would sit and talk about things that the Air Force had done that were stupid. And we would talk about things that CAP had done that were stupid. And I was reading this article in Flying Magazine that said, and this was in about 2015, ADS-B was going to be mandated in 2020. So I said, Tom, have you heard anything about how CAP is going to meet this mandate? And he said, no. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to write a letter to CAP and say, the Pentagon wants a briefing as to how we're going to do it. Well, that kicked off a lot of activity at headquarters. And they never knew that I was the one who did that. When we met the mandate, actually early, we were the few people, and ADSB has proved invaluable in our CAP mission. The next person I want to thank is Tom McGrath. So, in my first check ride in CAP, Tom will tell you, I didn't do all that well. So we sat in the airplane on the ramp at Stafford, and he said, your landings are okay, but your airwork kind of sucks. What do you want to do? You want to continue, or you want to just call it partial? And I said, let's go back and finish it up. And he did. I did. And then Tom said, you know, you only have 150 hours. You got to think about getting an instrument rating. So I did. And then he said, you got to be a commercial pilot. So I did. And then he said, you ought to be a CFI. And so I did. Have you ever tried to say no to a Navy SEAL? It doesn't work. The other two people I want to thank are Jane and John Davies. For those of you that know the National Capital Wing, they are the heart and soul of this wing. They do things without my even asking. Or if I'm discussing something with them and say, you know, we have to do this encampment. And I'm talking with Jane on the phone, and I hear this voice in the background that says, I'll be the commander. What? So John volunteered to be the commander. Jane volunteered to be the commander for this encampment. Those two make this National Capital Wing a very special place in all of Canada. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the two challenges that I always say when I talk to cadets. Number one, set the example. Set the example for the person you want to interact with. Set the example for how to wear the uniform. Set the example for how to do drilling and ceremonies. Go get the facts and be that example that will motivate others to continue their careers. The second thing I challenge people is to be a leader. There can only be one wing commander, but there are 709 leaders in this wing. Everybody can lead. And if you see a problem, fix it. If you see something needs to be done, do it. And those two characteristics will provide benefits throughout your entire life. So, I'm no longer going to be your wing commander after tonight, but you will see me around the wing. And those of you who are flying, I will be giving you your check rides. But I thank you very much for all the support you've given me, and you've made this job a true pleasure.
We have this print that depicts one of our aircraft with one of the White House with the unit crest and unit patches around it. And I invite everybody to come back up when we conclude tonight's events. And we've got some pens. Go ahead and sign the back, write a little note.
Nice things.
Yeah, nicely. Yeah, made in the order of kind of stuff. But, yeah. Colonel Egry, Colonel Eliason. Debbie, you want to go ahead? Debbie, come on up and join me. Attention to orders. National Headquarters Civil Air Patrol, Personnel Action Number 14. Announcement is made of the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel William T. Eliason, CAP, CAP ID 510690, as Commander, National Capital Wing, Civil Air Patrol. Vice Colonel David E. Sterling, CAP. And promotion to the temporary grade of Colonel, effective 16 March 2024. Authority, CAP Regulation 30-1. Paragraph 2. Colonel David E. Sterling, CAP, is promoted to his permanent grade of Colonel upon completion of the assignment as Commander, National Capital Wing, Civil Air Patrol, effective 16 March 2024. Authority, CAP Regulation 35-5, for the National Commander, Marie Voigt, Director, Personnel and Member Actions.
It's easier to take off than to put on. Sorry, I have to go back to my aide-de-camp skills.
Got it.
Yep, she's got one.
There you go.
So the interesting thing, this morning I did another change of command, actually in South Carolina, and had to tell the incoming commander, you know, the hard part of becoming the full colonel is you have to figure out which way the beat goes, all right? Well, I think he already knows which way the beat goes.
Did it once before.
Did it once before. Yeah,
She was there.
I will now administer the oath. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, William T. Eliason,
Having been promoted to the grade of colonel in the Civil Air Patrol,
have been promoted to the grade of Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with the Constitution,
that I will support and comply with the Constitution,
bylaws, regulations of the Civil Air Patrol,
bylaws, and regulations of the Civil Air Patrol.
that I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will,
that I will,
well and faithfully,
well and faithfully,
discharge all duties and responsibilities,
discharge all duties and responsibilities,
as well as obey the orders of the officers
as well as obey the orders of the officers
appointed over me according to regulation.
appointed over me according to regulation,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Please be seated.
Chief's up.
This is up.
The ceremony you are about to witness is one of the briefest yet most significant of all our military ceremonies. All authority and responsibility for command are vested in the hands of the commander, a chain that is unbroken from the commander-in-chief down to the unit. There will not be a period in which the unit has no commander. So today, as Colonel Sterling relinquishes command and Colonel Eliason assumes command, all authority and responsibility for the National Capital Wing immediately transfers to Colonel Eliason. The passing of the wing flag to Colonel Egry from Colonel Sterling culminates the series of significant achievements the wing accomplished under his command. The passing of the wing flag from Colonel Egry to Colonel Eliason reflects the great confidence Civil Air Patrol's leadership has that successes will continue under Colonel Eliason's command.
Center base.
Sir, I relinquish command.
Sir, I assume. Officers post. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Capital Wing Commander, Bill Eliason.
Thank you, Colonel Egry, and distinguished guests. If you'll give me a moment to agree that I'm older than I look. I'm older than I feel, either way. What a moment for the National Capital Wing. Please give yourselves another round of applause for at least putting us by now, this is a very high and humbling honor for me. And as a mentor once told me, when taking command, be humble, be thankful, but for Pete's sake, be brief. So I'll try. First, thank you, Colonel Egry, Eugene, for recommending me for command and my selection, as well as to General Felka for his support of what I hope will be a great tour of duty for myself in the wing. I will do my best to live up to the confidence you've given me and exceed the expectations that both of you have for me. To Colonel Dave Sterling, I can tell an equally good story, but I'll hold it for later, and most folks have already heard it from me. I am the guy right behind Dave Sterling almost in every step of the way he's had in Civil Air Patrol. As you probably saw from the numbers, we're not that far apart in terms of how much time we've been with Civil Air Patrol, but my first and second contact with Civil Air Patrol in this wing was Dave Sterling. I spent 2 years in the Maryland wing and came right back to Dave and we said, Bill, where you been? Thought you wanted to go flying. Well, I did, but I came back. But Dave has pushed me every time to be a commander, and now 3 times Dave has asked me, and I reluctantly, in each case, acceded to his desire for me to move forward. And eventually I knew, and I hopefully I will learn over these 3 years, that he was absolutely right in having me take that kind of leadership challenge. You've been an outstanding commander for the best wing in Civil Air Patrol. I haven't seen that many wings in Civil Air Patrol, but this is the best one I've ever been in. I'm a great winger either, and I know I have other wing commanders here. I'm going to be your best friend because I'm your neighbor. And if anybody who's been my neighbor, they know that I live next door to Santa Claus. And it's true, Dan Wood, who lives next door to me, is Santa Claus. And so I'm going to try to be the best Santa Claus you guys ever saw. It's important that I promise to do my best to build on what Dave has given all of us. And each commander has that responsibility to do so. To Dave's predecessors, I'm probably unique in this, in that I now have 4, I think if I count correctly, former wing commanders in my wing, our wing, all of whom I'm sure will not be shy in providing me with some guidance, and a few at Region and beyond. And I also am a student of Bruce Heinlein as well, and J.D. Ellis, and J.D. Davies, and Coop Cooper, so I am paying attention, usually. But to your predecessors, Dave, I've known and learned from them here at the National Capital Wing. Bruce Heinlein just sends his regrets that he and Barbara couldn't be with us tonight. And I owe pretty much everything of my start in the flying part of this business to Bruce. He said, hey, let's go flying someday. You look like you'd make a great squadron commander. To J.D. Ellis, who followed Bruce in command and gave me my first squadron. Thank you, J.D. It's sort of your fault. Also to my squadron mates in Arlington. Where are you, Arlington? Where are you?
There you go.
Yeah, twice. And now you've finally gotten rid of me. Good job. You're on your own now. I know who your boss is. Also to my friends at Mount Vernon, Bob Gordon is a wonder of this wing. Those of you in cadet programs need to wrestle Bob to the ground, tie him down, and find out what magic dust he's got. I think he said 120, I think it's more north of that, 140, 160 I went back after I gave up this squadron a few months later, and he'd already doubled the cadet population. I don't know how he's doing it, but he is doing wonderful things for that squadron and for your wing by doing so. So Bob and all the friends at Mount Vernon, you got a friend in me. It's all the squadrons do. But beyond that, thank you for allowing me to tell my stories over and over again, for your true dedication to volunteer service, and all my friends, especially the wing staff as well, across the wing. You've got a new boss. I will ask a lot of questions. That's what professors do. I was prepared to give a 3-hour lecture on pay and Mitchell, but I'll hold that for some other time for the staff. That includes all the cadets as well. One of the most important things, which was already mentioned by multiple of these speakers, is I came to this wing to fly. I really didn't know that much about Civil Air Patrol. I just knew from a friend of mine who was a member of this wing that it would be a great experience and I could fly for free. How many of you aviators out there heard that call first before you got it? And then we saw the cadets and the senior members who don't fly and all the hours of tireless dedication each and every one of them gives to their service at the squadron level and beyond. The spots cadets and all the cadets in between. It's really an amazing thing. And I am very, very proud to be a part of it. And hopefully, it all started with a little conversation with one of my classmates from the academy by the name of Bill B.A. Andrews, who was a member of this wing before he left us in 2015. In Air Force Crosswinter and Desert Storm, and Bill and I knew each other a long, long time, and he just said, "You want to fly for free? Get in Civil Air Patrol." What the heck is that? He goes, "Those are those guys at the academy who always had their shoes shine, who always had their uniforms right, that Bill Mitchell was. Those guys," and I used a different word. But I also know that I had one, I was telling the general this evening, one of my squadron mates in Cadet Squadron 3 at the Air Force Academy class in 1980 was a guy by the name of Orlando Rosado. Anybody wants to look up the spots list, I think his number is number 354. I never understood why it didn't matter day or night, rolling out of bed, rolling into bed, that guy had creases on everything. His shoes were completely shined, and he told me, "I'd love to help you with your shoes, Bill, but size 15 is just too big a job for me." And thanks to the Maryland Wing in particular for letting me stay at Apollo 1 for 2 years before realizing that I probably should be in Civil Air Patrol closer to home. And Debbie was wondering why I really was trying to run so many thousands of miles on the car. But I found my home again here at the National Capital Wing, but I will always be a friend of Maryland in particular, as well as Virginia, for giving me my start. Before I close, I want to thank a few more people, some of whom couldn't be with us tonight. First, thanks to my parents, Bill and Carol Eliason, who are no longer with us, but especially my mom, who by her example as a Girl Scout leader and a professional at that as well, started me on my path to lifelong service, which was mentioned earlier. To my sons and daughters, Michael, Heather, Kristen, Alex, and Ruby, plus my grandkids, Clementine and Sebastian, thank you wherever you are for letting me see what the future of our family looks like, and that future looks very good. Lastly, to my wife and life support for over 4 decades, Debbie, who's here with us tonight, thank you for letting me be me for all these years. Finally, where we go together as a wing, that's probably what you're asking to find out. What is this guy going to be doing? What is he about? I'm not Dave Sterling, he's not me, but we both have a shared common interest in making sure this wing is successful. As Dave says, along with the other former wing commanders and all of you, will be right behind me trying to make sure that I get the path correct the first time. I promise to live up to the 4 Civil Air Patrol values in everything I do, showing my integrity, my devotion to volunteer service, striving for excellence, and most importantly, giving respect to all I serve. In doing so, I want every member of our wing to do the same while seeking to learn from each other, to do all we can to grow the wing in every dimension possible, and to find more ways to serve each other, our communities, and our nation. At 709 members, I think is what I heard. I wrote 708, but may have grown another 4 or 5 this afternoon, I'm not sure. And growing, our wing is, to borrow a bit from the Navy, a powerful force for good in this community and this nation. I look forward to continuing to serve with each and every one of you. God bless you, and onward, upward, National Capital Wing.
Civil Air Patrol and the National Capital Wing are proud to have had Colonel Sterling as one of their finest leaders, and we extend to Colonel Sterling our very best wishes and continued success, and we welcome Colonel Bill Eliason. At this time, I ask Colonel Chaplain Luther for the benediction. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, it's been a great evening. A great speaker. See the quality, Lord, that you put into these young people, these cadets, and their leaders. Selfless service, Lord, building those things which are most honorable, most commendable in the character that leads this nation, Lord. I pray a blessing on each one, that you further to strengthen them, that you move them and direct them. And Lord, that everything that we do would be to your honor and glory. For it's in your name I pray. Amen.
I'm going to take a point of order as the new community.